3, your EQ. How can you represent a linear function in a way that reveals its slope and y-intercept? So we are combining 2 lessons together into one from your textbook, 6.2 and 6.3 in this one. And it says, I can graph a linear equation given 2 points, a point and a slope, or a table of values. I can determine which form of a linear equation reveals a given key feature. So these are the kind of things we're going to be doing today in this lesson. And so right here, this is the main thing here. We have 3 forms of linear equations. Slope-intercept form is the form y equals mx plus b. For example, you could have y equals 3x minus 2 or plus negative 2. And so this is what we were working with last week. This is really easy to graph up from because m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So you are given, just by looking at an equation in this form, you have a point to start at, and then you have a slope to use to plot more points. The 2 we're looking at today are over here, point slope and standard. Point slope is used when you have the slope and you have a ordered pair and you just want to write it in an equation that makes sense to what you're given. So if I say, hey, here's the slope of a line that's 1/2, and here's a point that lies on the line somewhere, like -10, 47, all right, well, I can quickly write the equation of the line by y minus the y1, the y coordinate that's given, equals the slope, m, times the quantity of x minus x1. x1 is the x coordinate that's given. All right, and this comes from the slope formula. You remember the slope formula, m equals the change in y over the change in x, or y minus y1, or y2 minus y1. So you have those different subscripts and you have 2 points, and then you subtract the x coordinates in the denominator. Okay, this is derived from that. Standard form. Standard form doesn't give you the slope. Standard form doesn't give you a point. Standard form doesn't give you the y-intercept just sitting there. It's probably like my least favorite form because you have to do work to get something out of it. So ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c are all constants. They're all numbers. And so one thing standard form is good for, though, is if you wanted to find your x and your y intercepts, which we talked about doing before. We've done that. That's where the graph of a line, you find out where does it cross the y-axis, where does it cross the x-axis, and if you can plot those 2 points and connect them with a line, then you graph the line. That's another way to graph a line. We have all these different ways to graph lines. We can use slope-intercept form. We can make a table of values. We can plot 2 ordered pairs and create a line through those ordered pairs. All right, so there's all these different ways, and the different ways of writing the equation of the graph line is slope-intercept, point slope, and standard. Okay, so quick check for understanding on what we just talked about. This is a multiple choice question for you. Which form can you read the y-intercept from the equation? I'm going to give you a minute to answer. You should be able to just look and figure out which form you can read the y-intercept from. The sound is always terrible. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how you guys did. 8 of you responded. Well, thank you to the 8 of you. The rest of you, what are you doing? Okay, so most of you said slope-intercept form, and a few of you said point-slope form. Well, which form can you read the y-intercept from? That's the B. The B is the y-intercept, and that is, yes, slope-intercept form. So the ones of you that answered, most of you got it correct. Slope-intercept form is correct. Okay, another check for understanding here. Of these 3 forms, which one doesn't show the slope in the equation? I'll give you a minute. Hopefully you get this done, okay? 16 of you are signed in. Maybe 16 of you can respond. That'd be fantastic. You have 53 more seconds. Which form doesn't show the slope in the equation? 2 of them do, 1 of them doesn't. Fifteen more seconds. Multiple choice, pick one, please. Half of you have responded. Okay, 8 of you responded. Most of you said standard form, and you are correct. Okay, so if you look at these 3 forms, standard is the only one where it doesn't have any, here we go. So standard form is what we said. And yeah, if you look at standard form, nothing pops right out. Okay, point slope, you can get a point and a slope just by looking at the equation. And then slope intercept, you can get, well, the slope and the y-intercept just by looking at the equation. So half of this lesson is on point slope, and then the other half is going to be on standards. So right here, point slope form. It says write each in point slope form. So number 1 says line with a slope of 2 and passes through the point 3, 5. Now, this is point slope form, and I'm going to do one of these with you. I know that the slope is given, and I know a point. So that's all you need to write the equation in point slope form. So I'm going to open up another page here to do this with you. It's asking me how I'm feeling. I feel fine. All right, so let's bring this over here. And I'm going to put you guys back here on this real quick. So this is our equation that we're trying to figure out. And I'm going to type, I think. So y minus, well, what's the y coordinate? Is it 3? Is it 5? It's 5 equals, what's the slope? It's 2. Then in parentheses, we're going to put x minus x1. Well, the x coordinate is our x1, so it's 3, just like that. And that's how you do these. So y minus 5 equals 2 times the quantity of x minus 3. So you guys are going to try the other one. Oh my gosh, my phone. You guys are going to try the other one. And then after you try the other one, I do want to go through with you and show. I'm going to put you into student paste, okay? But I do want to kind of explain what these other slides are. So you're going to do the second one. I've showed you how to do the first one. You're going to do the second one. And then you're going to come over here and you're going to use that information that you just did in slide 5, line with a slope of -3, passes through -1, 7. And you're going to graph it. You're going to graph it right here on this coordinate plane using the drawing tools. And what else? There's a point slope little video. All right. So I only want you guys to work on slides 5 and 6. I'm going to give you some time to do that, slides 5 and 6. And I'm going to share that with you so you know where you should kind of stay at. Let's give you about how long? Right now it's 12:01. Our class goes to 12:30. Let's take till 12:10. That sounds perfect. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share this slide with you. You guys have until 12:10 to try interactive slides 5 and 6. Those are the only two. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stop student paste, and then we're going to take a look at slide 9. Not slide 9, I'm so sorry, slide 5. I have 9 responses on slide 5. Okay, so as I was going through these, a couple of you were able to get it correct. All right, and so right here we should have y minus the y value. In this case it's 7 equals the slope of -3. Okay, that's what they tell us it is, times the quantity of x minus the x value. So when you have x minus -1, that's why this becomes x plus +1. So don't forget, when you subtract a negative, it turns into adding the opposite. So it does change a little bit on that one. And then on the next slide, what we were going to do, it's the same equation, the same information, but on slide 6 here, we want to graph this line. And some of you guys were getting started on it. So if I show some responses, the way I would start this is to first plot this point. Where is -1, 7? -1, 7. Let's see. -1, 7. They did a good job. They found it. And now a slope of -3 is a slope of -3/1. So you can think of rising 3 units and then running 1, or you could think of dropping 3 units and running 1. So this is great. This person did a really good job. And I want to mark it correct on my side. But I can't seem to figure out how to multitask this. Okay, well, it's fine. This is the correct answer. So if you're trying to graph a line and you're given the information in point slope form, right? So that's basically, you're given this equation here. From this equation, you should recognize that the slope is the number right here. And then the point that you're given is the, what is it subtracting here? -1. And then what is it subtracting here? +7. So -1, 7. So plot the original point and then use the slope to plot more points and then connect them with the line. So this person did a great job right here. This is the wrong slope. This looks like we're getting really close to the answer. -1, 7. It's a little bit off, but we have the general idea down 3/1. These are the 2 correct points almost. And that's a question mark. Okay, so right here, this is great. This is great. One thing I would do is include the arrows at the end of your line, right, to show that your line continues on in both directions. Oh, there we go. I was able to mark it correct. Thank you. Good job. All right. So next thing we're going to be doing here, and so I'm going to kind of take you away from that slide, and we're not going to watch this video right now. You can go back and watch this. You always have access to your Pear Decks after we do a lesson. You could go back and watch it later. On slide 8, so standard form. What is it good for? Well, it's good for finding the x and the y intercept quickly. So if I'm given the equation 2x plus 4y equals 8, right? So that's this equation right here. This is standard form because it's the x term, the y term, equals, and then a number. That's standard form. And when it's set up like this and you want to graph it, your best option is to find out what is the x and y intercept, because you can do that very quickly. This is showing you all the steps. You don't have to write all this out. You can probably do this in your head, but it's explaining the thought process. So remember, when you want to find the x-intercept, you want to know, where does this graph cross the x-axis? And it will always cross the x-axis wherever y is 0. So you let y equal 0, replace the y with 0. 4 times 0 is 0. That's always going to fall right out because your y term is there. And so basically you're trying to solve 2x equals 8 in your head. Well, divide both sides by 2. X is 4. So the x-intercept is 4 on the x-axis, or the point 4, 0. And then to find the y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, you let x equal 0. So looking at your equation here, the x term is there. If you replace the x with a 0, it disappears, because 0 times anything is 0. It's gone. So then what you're trying to solve in your mind is 4y equals 8. And then divide both sides by 4, and y is 2. So here's my other intercept. The y-intercept is at the point 0, 2. Once you have 2 points on a graph, you can draw a line. All right? So this is one way to use standard form to graph, is to figure out the x and y intercept. That's the quickest way to do it. And so what I'm going to have you guys do now is this slide. And slide 10 is a video. I don't want you to watch that right now. So I'm going to have you work on slide 9 right now. And let's give you guys 10 minutes to do this. Okay, here's your equation. 6x plus 3y equals 30. It's in standard form. X term, y term, equal sign, number. That's in standard form. So the quickest way to graph this is what I just showed you on the last slide. Find the x-intercept. Okay, set y equal to 0. What is the x-intercept? Then find the y-intercept. Set x equal to 0. What is y equal? Plot those 2 points and connect them with a line. All right, so I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes just to work on this one slide, just slide 9, and I'll put it back on student pay so you can go back to that example slide that's like one slide back. Okay, and then right now we're going to work on just slide 9. Okay, so it's 25, and I do want to review the correct answers. There were a few of you who got this correct because you tried. 7 of you tried, and I gave some of you some feedback that did try, but you didn't quite get it. If you're not trying, you're not going to get any feedback, and it's unfortunate because you do have to learn how to do this. This is what your big test is going to be on. It's going to be at the end of next week. So right here, this person did a great job. They found the x-intercept by setting y to 0. That term disappears because 3 times 0 is 0. So 6x equals 30 means x equals 5. And then the y-intercept. Well, you set x equal to 0. 6 times 0 is 0. It goes away, so just 3y equals 30 and y is 10. Then they connected the 2 points after plotting them and drew the line with the arrows. I love those arrows. Great job. Oops. Wrong button. Okay, this person also did a great job. There's their x-intercept at 5, their y-intercept at 10, and then they have the arrows on their line. Okay, so 2 people got it totally correct. Some of you were getting some different points on the x and y axis, and I'm not exactly sure how that was happening. Okay, but you can go back and look at the example of how we set. It's when you want the x-intercept, you make y 0. When you we want the y-intercept, you make x 0. And so but this is one thing that standard form is good for. Any form of an equation you're given, if you don't remember the best ways to graph, you can always make a table of values. Yes, Jalen, that was yours. You did a really good job. Nice job. And you can always make a table of values. So that's another method. And if you were to do that, you can do an XY table, pick some values for X, plug them in, and get some Y values, plot them. As long as you have two ordered pairs, you can make a line. The more points you have, the more accurate your line will be. But yeah, that's about it. That's the end of our lesson. So this is still in student paced. There are 2 videos that I would like you to still watch. So maybe when you go back and take your notes, you can watch video 10 on slide 10 and also the video on slide 7. All right, but these are your 3 forms.